Hello Moto GP enthusiasts. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Michele Pirro has cast a measured but clear assessment of Ducati's current situation. Aprilia leads a changing championship cycle, and Marc Márquez is not yet at peak form. Pirro frames the moment as part of sport's natural ebb and flow while urging patience, recovery and a focused response from Borgo Panigale. Chicho Lorenzo warns that Marc Márquez's early season struggles go beyond results, arguing the nine-time champion still shows signs of physical and mental fragility after his injury. Lorenzo also praises Jorge Martín's comeback and highlights Pedro Acosta's steady consolidation as defining storylines shaping the 2026 title fight. Ducati is quietly preparing contingency plans as concerns grow over Marc Márquez's fitness and long-term availability. With the nine-time champion struggling with lingering injuries and form, Borgo Panigale is reportedly eyeing internal promotions to protect its factory program and ensure continuity if Márquez steps away from Moto GP sooner than expected. Aprilia faces a delicate internal dynamic. Marco Bezzecchi leads the championship by 4 points over Jorge Martín, but rumors linking Martín to Yamaha next season have created a clear strategic preference inside the factory. They would rather see Bezzecchi take the title so the championship stays with Aprilia. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Pirro describes MotoGP as cyclical. Manufacturers rise and fall as packages and development windows shift. He sees Aprilia's recent surge as a logical phase rather than a permanent overthrow, and positions Ducati as a team that can react if it concentrates resources and time. It's part of the sport, there are cycles. Now it's Aprilia's time. Framing rivals' form as cyclical reduces panic and signals a strategic, long-term view rather than short-term alarm. Now leading his own team and remaining active in competition, Pirro speaks with both the authority of a rider and the perspective of a team principal. That dual role gives weight to his comments about development priorities and the importance of steady, methodical work on both current and future projects. Voices like Pirro's matter because they bridge rider experience and technical understanding, making their assessments influential within factory circles. Pirro is candid about Márquez. Marc isn't at his peak, he says, but he stresses the championship's length and the value of recovery time. The unexpected calendar break and targeted rehabilitation are presented as opportunities for Márquez to regain confidence and physical readiness ahead of the European rounds. Public acknowledgement of a star rider's sub-peak can relieve pressure while signaling internal support for a managed comeback. Pirro highlights a recurring issue for Ducati this season: stronger single lap or qualifying performance than consistent Sunday race pace. He suggests there are still setup and tire management areas to improve, and that parallel work on the 2027 850cc project complicates resource allocation. When a team splits focus between current competitiveness and future regulations, short-term consistency can suffer. Pirro's message is both calming and directive: accept the current competitive reality, use the break to recover and refine, and keep pushing on development fronts. For Ducati, that means balancing immediate fixes to improve race day stability with continued investment in the 2027 program. Clear internal priorities and efficient feedback loops from riders will be essential. Effective mid-season triage requires honest diagnosis, rapid iteration and disciplined communication between riders, engineers and management. Pirro's comments amount to a pragmatic roadmap: recognize Aprilia's current advantage, protect and rehabilitate key personnel like Márquez, and pursue targeted technical gains without losing sight of the 2027 transition. His tone suggests confidence rather than crisis, a call for steady work rather than headline-driven reactions. If Ducati follows that prescription, it can plausibly close the gap as the season progresses. If it fragments focus, the advantage enjoyed by rivals may widen. Lorenzo is impressed by Jorge Martín's recovery from a season lost to injury, calling his return incredible and expressing curiosity about the methods behind Martin's rapid rebound. The commentator suggests Martin's form has reignited championship talk and positioned him as a genuine contender despite last year's absence. Lorenzo singles out Pedro Acosta as the rider most clearly consolidating his place in MotoGP. He credits Acosta's work ethic and consistency, noting that results will follow if KTM supports him adequately. Acosta's early season form, combined with his likely move to Ducati in 2027, frames him as a long-term asset for the Premier class. Young riders who combine raw speed with measured development often convert potential into sustained success. Lorenzo says he noticed Márquez looking worried from the very first race, interpreting that body language as evidence the rider is not yet fully recovered. He links Márquez's crashes and on-track hesitations to lingering physical limitations and confidence erosion, arguing that these factors have tangible effects on race performance. Even in the first race, I saw him very worried. It's not a concern about the result. It's a concern about his performance, his physical condition. Confidence and physical readiness are tightly coupled for elite riders. Visible worry often precedes conservative riding and reduced overtaking effectiveness. Lorenzo highlights how desperate or marginal overtakes can escalate rivalries and produce incidents that shape race outcomes. He referenced Márquez's aggressive move that led to a crash and a subsequent penalty, framing it as symptomatic of a rider pushing beyond current limits. The commentator also noted the growing intensity between riders like Márquez and Di Giannantonio, where repeated edge-of-control moves increase the chance of collisions. When riders operate at the edge to compensate for lost pace, the frequency of high-risk maneuvers and consequential incidents typically rises. Lorenzo sees the 2026 season as highly competitive, with Martin's resurgence, Acosta's consolidation and Márquez's uncertain recovery creating a dynamic title picture. He advises watching how Márquez's confidence and fitness evolve, how KTM and Ducati support their young talents, and whether Martin can sustain his comeback through the European rounds. Early season narratives often shift as riders regain rhythm or as development updates alter the competitive order. Chicho Lorenzo frames the early championship as a crossroads. A returning Martin, an emerging Acosta and a recovering Márquez create a three-way storyline that could define the season. If Márquez regains full fitness and confidence, he remains a title threat. If not, the door opens wider for Martin and Acosta to shape MotoGP's next era. The European swing will be decisive in revealing which narrative holds. Márquez's recent shoulder and forearm issues, plus visible pain and inconsistent results, have prompted speculation about his future. Commentators suggest the rider's competitive philosophy, unwilling to race at reduced capacity, could lead him to consider retirement if recovery stalls. Ducati must therefore plan for both short-term performance and a potential abrupt succession. Fermín Aldeguer is the leading internal option. Young, fast and already within Ducati's orbit, Aldeguer represents a natural promotion path from satellite to factory machinery. His technical familiarity with Ducati's systems and his rapid progression make him an attractive, low-risk successor who could slot into the factory role with minimal acclimatization time. Fabio Di Giannantonio is another viable choice. Already performing strongly within the VR46 structure and leading Ducati's internal points tally early in the season, Di Giannantonio offers proven race pace and experience on the Desmosedici. Elevating him would be commercially and technically straightforward, especially if Ducati prefers a rider already integrated into its satellite pipeline. Di Giannantonio's promotion would minimize disruption and reward a rider who has delivered consistent results. The path to promotion is not purely sporting. Aldeguer's contractual ties to VR46 and Ducati's commitments to satellite teams complicate any immediate switch. Ducati must balance factory needs with obligations to partners, avoiding the kind of friction that has previously strained relationships in the paddock. Any move will therefore require careful negotiation to preserve long-term supplier and team alliances. Rider moves often hinge on clauses, options and political trade-offs as much as on raw performance. Ducati faces three strategic choices. Secure Márquez with a longer contract to preserve stability, offer a short-term bridge while grooming a successor, or proactively promote an internal candidate and accelerate a planned transition. Each option carries trade-offs for development focus, sponsor messaging, and team morale. The safest route blends immediate performance support for Márquez with parallel succession planning to avoid last-minute scrambling. Ducati's contingency planning reflects prudent risk management. The factory is preparing credible internal successors while weighing contractual and political realities. Whether Márquez recovers and extends his tenure or decides to retire, Borgo Panigale's priority will be to maintain development momentum into the 2027 regulation era. Promoting Fermín Aldeguer or Fabio Di Giannantonio would preserve technical continuity and limit disruption, but the final decision will depend on negotiations, rider readiness, and the broader rider market dominoes that are still unfolding. Aprilia's 1-2 in Austin underlined the team's strength but also sharpened the internal title fight. With only 4 points separating Bezzecchi and Martin, every result matters. For Aprilia, the outcome has commercial and reputational consequences beyond the trophy, because a Martin title followed by a switch to Yamaha would hand the championship narrative to a rival. When a potential champion is linked to a rival team, manufacturers naturally prefer the rider who will remain in their colors. Team director Massimo Rivola insists on equal treatment, and no team orders while the fight is live. Behind the scenes, however, paddock voices and commentators read Aprilia's strategic interest as favoring Bezzecchi, the rider who will still be with the factory next year. The official line preserves sporting integrity. The implicit preference protects long-term brand value. Teams often balance public fairness with private strategic calculations. Bezzecchi's run of feature race wins has given Aprilia a points cushion and momentum, but Martin's return to form keeps the title fight open. The dynamic is competitive rather than hostile. Both riders have delivered for the team, but the potential of Martin taking the crown and then leaving creates a unique tension. Close intra-team battles are healthy for performance, but complicate succession and sponsorship planning. Aprilia must manage two imperatives: let the riders race freely to extract maximum performance, and avoid decisions that could hand a rival an advantage next season. That means resisting overt favoritism while ensuring both riders have equal machinery and support, a tricky communications and operational task as the season tightens. Maintaining perceived neutrality is crucial to avoid internal discord and external criticism. If Bezzecchi wins, Aprilia secures both the title and continuity. If Martin wins and then departs, the championship becomes a marketing asset for another manufacturer. The outcome will influence sponsor narratives, rider market moves, and how rival teams prioritize development for 2027. Aprilia's handling of the duel will be watched as a case study in balancing short-term success with long-term strategy. High-profile intra-team battles often ripple across the rider market and technical development plans. The Bezzecchi-Martin duel is more than a sporting contest, it's a strategic crossroads for Aprilia. Publicly, the team will preserve neutrality and let the riders decide on track. Privately, it hopes the title stays with Bezzecchi to protect its future. The European rounds, starting with Jerez, will be decisive, both for the championship and for Aprilia's immediate planning ahead of the 2027 season. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your Moto GP news update. And see you next time!